It's a combination of B-roll cuts and then both of us, because it was on Riverside that we recorded. And then we've got that. And I'm sure everyone's seen this. Everyone has done this if you've done video. But this is just short video, then infographics, quotes, video clips, videogram, which is like an audiogram, but it's my own little format of an audiogram. And I'll just show you 5 seconds of it.
You're not making your arteries bigger. You're just creating the connections and you're having more.
In England, we have a road.
It's moving video behind it versus just like a static image and then the text. And yeah, I think it's pretty cool. Clients like it. Obviously, you spin it off to a blog. Obviously, have the audio podcast. It's so small, the audio now. When you spin it off into 24 pieces of content, the audio is like this little thing in the side. And then the newsletter, I'm big on newsletters and long form content, tying it all in, transcript, etc. How to actually implement it. The cascading content framework. Now we know the what of cascading content. Let's go to the very juicy but also slightly complex how. And I'm just touching on the top parts of this all. How to implement it. The goal again is to squeeze the most amount of juice out of the fruit. And at minimum, I can get 24 pieces of content out of one podcast episode. For some, I can get 35, 40. Depends on how many short video clips or how many quotes I want to make. So if I want to make more pieces of content, I'm already there. It's not that much more work. But there is like a limit. I'm not going to make 100 short videos. I'm not going to make 100 quotes. It just gets a bit much at that point. I like to just go 3 quotes, 1 infographic, 3 short videos. That's where I'm at. Again, that's a conversation for another day to get into the weeds of that. The outline, I outline the piece of content. So this is how I do it. I outline the piece of content before even booking my guest. A lot of people book the guest and then figure out the angle of the podcast. This creates double work when you want to spin it out into video content or repurposed content. So we need to think like content marketers here and not just podcasters. This is the key to doing this right and saving the least amount of time. Saving the most amount of time and doing the least amount of work. Instead, start with who this episode will help, why it's important, and how you can do it. This is relevant for guest formatted podcasts and solocast, YouTube or explainer videos. Then organize your documents. I use Notion because its modular abilities to hold different types of content. Anything works, but stick with it. When recording, think about how you will make editing easiest. When editing, break this into technical, editorial, creative editing. Think about how you can make marketing assets easiest from the transcript. Creating marketing assets that are valuable takeaways. There you have it. That's 24 pieces of content. Again, I know I've just went over it really fast and it might be confusing, but this is getting into the weeds of things. And I have to save this for another talk because things can get very heavy very quickly and I don't want to overwhelm you. What tools do I use? So next slide, the technical debate. Spoiler, everything works. Double spoiler, any video audio editor works for this and can create crazy amounts of time if you don't use the right one. So while anything does work, I like to use Reaper. No disrespect to Colin and the Altitude team. Can't wait to use it, but they don't do video. And Reaper's great because it handles audio and video very well. For documentation, again, Notion mainly. For recording, a good mic, a pretty good webcam, doesn't even have to be the highest end. Your smartphone camera, iPhones are great now. They can record straight into your computer, and a set of average lights. This setup that I have, I think it looks pretty good. It actually was cheap, on the cheap side, on the cost-effective side. I did a lot of research. So for dialogue editing, we use Descript to handle the text. For audio video editing, again, Reaper to handle the bulk of editing. For transcripts, marketing and promo stuff, Swell AI, swellai.com is what we use. So we used to use Descript for a lot of this, but Swell now uses AI to come up with show notes and all these other things. There's a lot of websites doing that now, but I really like Swell AI. Headliner, I tried it early on 4 or 5 years ago.